So we just finished the movie, and yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. What do you got to say, Bolden?
Man, we just watched from like 4 minutes before the intermission to the rest of the film. We went through a lot. There's a lot to discuss here. Like nothing to say on that bit. That's half the film.
The only thing I enjoyed about the movie was watching his brain kind of go on the fritz, watching
Yeah.
the human interact, like his interaction with the cameras and shit, and then it devolves into whatever, and his mental fortitude cracking a little bit. I found that enjoyable, I guess.
Okay, so we picked off. He turned 30. Is where we left off. Right. That's
Hmm.
right before the intermission. He turned 30. It clocked ran down, and then he had that song. Turning 30. Did you like that? He was like half naked. And did you like the light work he was doing with his feet and with his phone with the flashlight? Wasn't that clever?
Sure. I I don't see
I thought.
what's clever or cool. Like it was cool. It was a cool little song, I guess. There's
Yeah.
I'm a difficult person to please, let's put it that way.
I'm guessing so. Anyway, so that went through. I thought that was like iconic. Like imagine though, just consider. My argument with you has always been that we're progressing and that we're as a species. Like learning from the mistakes of our past, and you're suggesting that you, as an individual of age, I don't know specific. I think you're like upper 30s, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. An individual of age has a lot more experience than individuals that don't, and this target audience is like 20-year-olds, dude. They're learning this shit that you think is common that wasn't common. And also consider this, my friend, like you were raised knowing more things. My wife is an example of this. She's a German and was raised within a German household in which, like, I was an American and raised by white parents that like were extremely Americanized. Like I had a disadvantage. I was raised with some issues, religion in particular, right? So like this to be true, and this I'm arguing is the case for most of us Americans. So although you may be like privileged with your high horse knowledge shit that you were like taught in your elementary school,
Hmm.
potentially, and I would argue that you weren't taught well enough if you're coming out of it thinking that the world is ending and we should all give up. If that's your solution, like that's kind of fucked. That
I never said that we should give up. I keep
don't think
telling
you'd
you.
be able to fix it.
Huh?
Don't be able to think. You don't think we can fix it. If you don't think we can fix it, then your inkling subconsciously is not to continue trying to pursue the endeavors required to make that happen. So, in other words, you are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. You want the world to burn. You think the world is going to burn, and so when it eventually does, because you allowed it to do so, you could say I told you so, and you're fucked up for thinking it. Like it's your fault if we do fail. If we fail, it wouldn't be the people trying. It wouldn't be their fault. Let's continue. So like then the intermission happened, right? Like he gave that little like. Do you remember he played the video of himself saying "Don't kill yourself" and on
Yeah.
himself
Uh-huh.
tons of long hair. I thought that was really clever because I was also thinking like like where is this leading? This is deep. This is some deep shit. And of somebody that went through various levels of depression throughout my existence and
Hmm.
various reasons for that. I completely feel for where he's coming from. I get what he's saying when he says what he says. And to others who are also going through that, it's extremely prevalent. It's really relevant as well. Like they should know these things. And I would argue that they wouldn't before experiencing them. I don't know how you would come to these conclusions without experiencing them or being having somebody suggest them for you either. Like, are you comforted through your environment? And my life hasn't, for example, in such a way that allowed me to see things that you can't? Or do you just see these for what they are? I'm curious. I'm not saying that you don't know something I know. I'm saying that you learned a different approach. I'm wondering what that would be.
It would be hard to say. I don't
I
know.
find it extremely important. It would be. We could talk for hours about that. So let's continue though.
Okay.
Um, So intermission happened. He comes back. He plays that. Are are you like I don't want to know all that stuff. You know that
Mhm.
song. I was watching you watch it, and you were like, yeah, I am kind of bored. Like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like,
It, I I saw something very. I guess what I saw was, you know, he's the one who's bored, and he's just, you know, projecting it, and it's very interesting. It came off as a funny little song, but that's about it. That's why I was laughing. Like most of the reasons I'm laughing is because it's either what he's saying is predictable, or the sequence that he's doing is predictable, or it's just
predictability, man. It's
huh?
not about that. Like, if you can predict it, that's great. Good for you. Like, awesome. It's not about that. It's about going on that journey and taking a look around. So are you the individual that when you try to get to a destination, you're
Hmm.
just like A to B, you don't care about what's on side to side? Or do you think A to B is important and the journey and the view that you can get is also important and you can take a granular approach and see things along the way? Like that's what this is saying. Like you know what the destination is. I know you know what this stuff. I know you agree with a lot of what he's saying. Like you know what I mean? Like you're not I don't think this video is disagreeable to you in any way. I just don't think you find it prevalent. And I think that's because I don't think you like taking microscopic granular views on things. I think that's where we learn things. And I don't think you find that valuable.
Pretty much. I guess we can go with that. Yeah. I I like just jumping to the B point, from A to B. I don't even give a damn about the scenic route. I don't even care about anything. Just get from one point to the next.
Let's just use that example. Let's say
Sure.
B is our destination, A is
Hmm.
where we're at. And we have a forest or a wilderness in front of
Hmm.
us in points in such a way that we cannot see B from our starting position. And we have in front of us one path that diverts into multiple paths. There
Hmm.
is no clear path. There's one that's trenched and plotted and pretty clear cut. But there are others as well. Here's
Hmm.
my question. Is B the best destination? Would there be better destinations if you took better paths or
You would
deeper
have to try
paths?
all destinations before you could come to any conclusion if B is the best
Correct.
path.
And I'm suggesting that your non-granular approach to looking at the path as you approach your destination requires you to get to your destination and not to others. Like you are closed-minded, my friend. I'm trying to see that.
I'm not. That's the worst part. You you think I'm not close-minded, and it's so funny.
It's okay. Like I'm not suggesting you're
You
completely
okay?
closed-minded.
So just because there's a one approach to how I see things doesn't mean I'm closed-minded. Because yeah, if you wanna analyze just that statement where I'm saying, yeah, I would jump just from point A to B and fuck the scenery. Yeah, you could view that as being closed-minded, but I mean that's just in the
Yeah, you're
scenario
right.
you gave me.
I'm you're right. I'm redefining it a little bit. So, but based
Uh-huh.
on your definition, like you may not be close-minded. Based on the definition I just gave, you may be considering specific topics. Again, if you think your destination is ideal, that it's already carved out in such a way that you don't think it should be challenged, then you cannot get to another destination. You would not be able to go down different paths. Imagine if somebody you have a pathway to your destination that you've gone down every time, and somebody else has been building a pathway to another destination, and that started off as like a little broken down pathway. Then it was a road, dirt road, then gravel, and all that. It kept building up until eventually it's a highway. You're on a highway already. Your destination's clear cut all the time, but you've never gone down this other highway. Like it could
Mm-hmm.
be a fucking that's what fucking atheism is at this point. Like as as a skeptic community, we have approached the point where we have a pathway that isn't anymore in the dark. We can be transported in what we're doing. We can distribute what we're talking about without the allure of having to do so in privacy. More so today than others. And that's what I'm suggesting is just like that way that you agree with, I'm suggesting that that could also be true for other destinations in your mind. That you already have a set path in mind, and that any other pathway, no matter how robust of a pathway they lay in front of you, would not be as beneficial as the destination you already have set up in your mind.
Okay, so sure. Here's my rebuttal to that. The problem is your point of view or how you want to view the world and all that kind of stuff doesn't help the world in any way. If you or if the rest of the world saw that we had an issue and we had to fix it, and then you had 20 people saying there's 20 different paths to it, and one individual, we'll just say one, is saying we need to fix the problem now, but let's explore all these different avenues. That does not help fix the situation. You're just making it longer and you're cluttering the whole entire concept of fixing the problem. That's my issue with humanity. And that's how I see it. Simple as that. Everyone wants to say there's a solution. We should take these paths. And then it's always division instead of saying, this is a problem, this is a solution. Let's just get there and do it. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, and we talked about this slightly before. And see, I see your point to a degree. I just disagree with its outcome because you suggest that like that means that we would never be able to progress, and yet we do. Somehow we still find and like through this approach that
Okay.
I agree with. I agree with.
Wait.
Hold on. You
Okay.
said it.
Okay.
Um, I agree with what you said. I agree with you saying that that the world works and operates in such a way where we're like taking too many approaches all at once, and we're having arguments, and like we should be able to like just class, like, hey, this is the solution, let's go. It just doesn't seem to work that way. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. I agree with that. Here's the great thing about that. Even through that approach, we've still been able to have some sectors trail off and do a thing and go, oh, wait, that's stupid. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And discover things through that process and then backtrack in such a way where now we're going through this part at the same time in conjunction with that one that has benefited from that exploration in which it can succeed even further where that one then is killed out. This is how we have learned mathematics. This is how we've benefited from physics and theoretical to the practical engineering. This is how we built the cell phones that we're using. This is how we built the things and the technology that we're benefiting from. All of this stuff has still been possible in this somehow like devastating reality you seem to like believe exists, in which we have disagreements on what next step to take. Here's the great part about it. We're considering to take a next step. You're saying that like that's somehow negative, but I'm saying that the true negative would be to not take any steps, right?